Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the May 12th, 2026 Police Services Board meeting. I'll read the land acknowledgement. On May 12th, 2026, we acknowledge that this sacred land on which Smith Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territories of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. Chair's remarks, other than good morning, we're ready to start another Police Services Board meeting. Any amendments to the agenda?
If I could just make a couple of remarks. I just wanted to highlight that this week is Police Week, and it was first observed in 1970, coinciding with the Police Officers Memorial Day. So it's from May 10th to 16th, and it's Police Week in Ontario. And I just wanted to highlight our theme across the province is protecting Ontario through our service. We've got some get-togethers and gatherings that we've planned for this week. Yesterday, we were at the Hub for lunch at Hanley Hall. Today, our officers will be with Community Living, and there's a little ball hockey game at the outdoor rink between 10 and 11:30. On Thursday, we have Coffee with a Cop at McDonald's. They were nice enough to offer to host our Coffee with a Cop. That's between 9 and 11. Everyone's welcome and have a coffee and conversation with your local police service. As well as that day, Thursday, we have a tour at the police station between 2 and 4. This is for people interested in careers in law enforcement, council members, even ones that are interested in the election process that have put in their papers, and as well as those that have gone through our process of applications. They can send their requests through our inquiry email, and that's posted online as well. And then Friday, May 15th, we have coffee with a Cop at Starbucks between 1 and 3 o'clock. So we've got a lot going on. And then in between it all, we'll just be paying some visits to some local schools, bike patrol, and some bike safety, as well as helping out with some of their lunch programs.
Will Deputy Chief Kettle be playing ball hockey today? I'd like to go see that.
I don't think so.
Undisclosed lower body injury.
Yeah.
He's on the injured reserve list, is he?
Yeah, that could be scary.
Sure.
Sheriff's remember late.
Do we have to disclosure of amendments to the agenda? Do we have to say in camera what was?
Please.
I would like to discuss, add to the agenda other municipal police forces. I'll just call it that. It's easier in the in-camera session, please. Anybody else? Jody, do you have anything to add?
Nope.
Okay. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and or conflicts of interest and general nature thereof. Nothing that's for anything, I guess, in the whole. Right now, we're going to go in camera, closed session, and that the board move in camera at 8:14. I don't have to go through that whole spiel of identifiable individuals and everything else that we used to go through.
If we could simply just get a mover and a seconder
Okay.
to move into camera.
Move into camera, Rob Dobson, Andrew Howard seconds. All in favor? Sorry, I wasn't Joe or Karen. We're back live?
We're back on.
Live.
Sorry, give me 1 second. Welcome back. We're live now. Do I have to do a Rising report?
Sure.
Oh. Good. Sorry, I didn't take notes on everything, so I probably decide what we're gonna say, do What's that? No, it's to do with the Rising report from in camera, and basically we discussed matters of not public information. So
Would you like me to provide a quick summary?
yes, please, if you don't mind. You can.
The quick Rising report, the board adopted the in-camera minutes, discussed security of the property of the board. The chief was given direction. The chief updated the board on some HR matters. They also discussed security of the board, and again, the chief and the chair were given direction there. And the final item that was added to the agenda, the vice chair and chair were given direction.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Carrie. Correspondence. May 1st of 2026, a letter from Kelly Dedham regarding board policies. We'll receive that for information only. I'll add to this that pursuant to OREG 8724, the chief has complied with Freedom of Information Act and cannot disclose our training materials and methods. The current procedures for training follow the Ontario Police College and follow standard operating procedures, directives, and policies. The board is still working on our own policies, or finishing them up. We'll keep people posted on that, but that's all we're going to comment on that in regard to that.
And our policies have been up to date since the police standards in 2000. It's a working document, continue to update. They're done, they're completed under the CSPA, and the board, obviously with your policies now, are in line with the services. So just a matter of a final review for your board policies, and
Perfect.
they'll be public for you.
Approval of the minutes. Recommended motion that the April 14, 2026 Police Services Board minutes be approved as circulated. Rob Dobson and Andrew Howard. All in favor? Business arriving from previous minutes. Previous meeting. I don't believe there is anything. No. New business 2026 budget monitor chief.
I wonder, for the board's purposes, A and E kind of go in line, if it's possible to, I'm just going to touch on increase for capital for the cruiser as well, if that's okay with the
Absolutely.
board. Just because I'm on the budget monitor discussion. Our budget is running fine. We're not over budget in any of our lines so far. But one of the things that is with the capital budget line for the cruiser, we allocated $100,000, but with the final bill for the cruiser and all the modifications that we're going to do. So what we've done in the last couple of years is used a company that completely outfits our cruisers from the very beginning to the end, as far as all of our equipment. So it's to do with the tablets that are coming, with Axon, the cameras, all the radio systems. So what happened was, years ago, it used to be piecemealed with our local IT person. Well, that didn't work because it was we had to constantly keep getting it fixed. Things weren't working. And it was costing us more money actually than going to one company, outfitting the cruiser entirely, which we did at the last cruiser. We've had no issues at all. So going forward, we're using this one company that deals with Ottawa Police as well, that they modify and upgrade the entire cruiser at a cost, but it's one-time cost. And so we're going to allocate another $15,000 to take the equipment out of one car, modify it into the new car, which we're getting that Ford Explorer hybrid. And take it out of our capital just with the board's approval. I'll also say the vehicle tablets, I had budgeted $24,000 for it. We ended up finding basically new tablets that were used by other services that keep replacing them every year or two. So our IT personnel bought 3 of them just to take a look at them. They were $700 a piece. They look brand new. There's nothing wrong with them. So we're going to go with the used tablets instead of buying new ones, which were about $7,000 plus tax. So these are about $700. So we have funds for the upgrade to the cruiser without asking for additional capital purchase. It's just again, looking at the vehicle tablets, I'm not going to need the $24,000. That money can be allocated to upgrading this cruiser. We anticipate getting it in the next month or so, and then getting it fully outfitted by hopefully the summertime. We do have a car, 102. It's a Ford Explorer. It's been stripped. So we're just asking the board with what direction you'd like to go with that. Would you like us to auction it off? Would you like us to donate it back to the town to bylaw services, which we could do, but they take full responsibility of the car, of the insurance, of everything, or just auction it off? It's up to the board to decide what you'd like to do with that cruiser, but we're going to get rid of it. So
I think general practice in the past is it's been offered to a town department if it's needed. Has that discussion happened yet, or? So
initially, one of the cars we were going to give to them, we ended up getting grant funding to support it because we could use that. It's 105. It was the Taurus, which is still a great car. It's only got 90,000 kilometers. So we ended up wanting to keep it because we use it for training. So we're not paying for officers for mileage, and it's used for, training, different courses, and also sometimes surveillance. But it's been a great car to use and keep, and it hasn't cost us any extra money. But this Ford Explorer, yes, we're looking to unload that from the service.
I'm not aware if any town department wants it or not, or?
Yeah, I could reach out to the fire chief again for bylaw. I think that they would take it for bylaw, but we don't, we give it to them as is, and we don't take any responsibility for the costs.
My preference would be to be offered to the town first, and if they don't.
And if they don't want it, then we will set it to auction.
We know they're well maintained and.
Yeah, well, they're cruisers. They're driven quite a bit, but we do take care of them as far as maintenance and making sure they get all their maintenance and oil changes done and tires and everything else. So.
So you were only asking for the disposal of, you're not asking for increased funding?
Two things, sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
okay.
So one thing, I'm just asking for board approval to increase the capital line for the cruisers, of which will come from the tablet line to compensate that additional $15,000.
I think based on what I've looked at right now, that your budget's sitting around 17% of our annual budget, and we're 33% of the way through. I think that I'd have no issue supporting that.
Yeah, and there'll be no change to the capital.
No change to the budget, just a line item. So
Yep,
we don't need a motion for that, Madam Secretary?
No.
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you for both.
Perfect.
Yeah. Any questions on the budget at all?
I think yourself and the deputy chief need to be commended on all of the grant money that we get. That's what really hits the budget, or brings the budget back into line, and it's exemplary. It's impressive. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Update on the strategic plan.
So I had a meeting with Professor McNall from the business program at Queen's University a couple weeks ago. I think it was just after your last board meeting I was away for. Great man, very, very intelligent, and I had a great conversation with him. He actually went off about tariffs, and I really learned a lot, actually. And so he was going to write an article about it, and I asked him to share it because it was actually really interesting to see like industries in Ontario and how that affects, even in the East and even in our areas. We see the Hershey factory, for example. So just a really interesting gentleman. They've started their class this week, and so they're expected to reach out to me at some point this week to set up a discovery meeting for the strat plan for the board and the service. And what that discovery meeting is going to entail is a meeting with myself, and I'm going to include the staff sergeant, Dan King, in that discussion as well for the future of our service and what we're looking at accomplishing. And then 2 board members that you've chosen. I think, Chris, you're in it, and Sean. So we'll have that when it's, and if it doesn't work for you, the one meeting date, they'll do a virtual meeting with the board. But it'd be nice to come together and have a plan in place and what we'd like to see in our services strat plan for the future. And then they hit the ground from there. But it sounds like they do application process and an interview process, and they're very thorough in the strat plan. So much so that they did one for CIBC, and he said that they're utilizing a lot of their slides that they did. So they're very thorough. They'll do a lot of it virtually for Smith Falls, but they'll also have a lot of opportunities for paper copies and making sure that all the stakeholders are contacted and interviewed. And if there is any problems with getting a hold of anyone, they'll ask myself to contact. And then a lot of surveys, public and ones that they can do on paper too, because they find not everybody does it on social media or computers, so they have the paper option, and they'll make sure that they're really encompassing all the town and all the committees and all the community partners. So I'm excited about it. Looking forward to that plan.
Sorry. Annual Report 2025, Chief.
So this is a rough draft of our annual report, and I'll just go through it quickly. This is ministry guided that all chiefs have to have completed by the end of June. So I just wanted to go over it at this board meeting first. And then what we do is it'll go on our website for anyone to be able to view, download. And we'll also just make a few paper copies. We don't make many paper copies, just to leave at town hall and at the police station for somebody that would want a paper copy. And certainly they can request to the board secretary or to one of us if they need a paper copy. So just to go over, we obviously the message from the chief. We have the organizational chart that we explain to the town of how we have our organization, so platoons, sergeants, the deputy staff, our operations, and our administrative support. Overview, our proactive patrol and enforcement, and what we do out there, our personnel list for 2025, civilians, specials, IT, and the board as well, which we need a picture of the board, by the way. We don't have an updated board picture. Our police expenditures for 2025, and then grant reporting is on the next page. All the grants that we were successful with and what those grants, who they help and where they're from, the ministry grants. Our comm center, we highlight the comm center. We highlight technology and critical infrastructure. And as I will mention, NG911 will be coming live soon for Smith Falls, and we're looking forward to that. We're in collaboration with Owen Sound Police Service. I believe that the switchover is going to be today at some point. I don't anticipate any issues at all. This has been a long project in the last couple of years with a lot of funding from the ministry to support your technology and your server room upgrades. So the training is done through Owen Sound, and then that training is also being done through our people to the rest of our police service, and we will have the next generation of 911. CamSafe, we highlighted all the community engagement, which is a few pages long, but just to show the community what we do out there. Crime Stoppers is highlighted, Special Olympics. Crime prevention, we highlight that as well as our crime unit, major investigations and cases and the challenges sometimes that we face. Our IPV charge types and graphs, we highlighted this, as well as our high-risk offenders and bail reform. The Ontario Sex Offender Registry and the Trafficking Registry, Missing Person Act, we highlight the annual report, which is also shown on the boards on the website as well. Collection of identifying information in certain circumstances. In 2017, Ministry approved provincial regulations governing the collection of identifying information from individuals, and legislation we have to show any information collected, we have to document that. And in 2025, we did not collect any information from individuals outside the circumstances that were authorized by law. We highlight by-class submissions that have to do with sex assaults. This stemmed a lot from Paul Bernardo case too. When you put in these by-class reports, it allows the province across Ontario to match if there's any serial sex offender, for example. We highlight our mobile crisis response team and all the mental health calls in our quarterly reports. We highlight all the public complaints that were issued, the resolutions that were done, and what the conduct had to do with. The SIU investigations, there was one occasion that the SIU did not invoke their mandate on, as information reported did not meet their threshold, and any local resolutions that we do. Members, in accordance with their secondary activities under the new Community Safety and Policing Act, Section 89, these rules are established to ensure that our officers and our civilian staff, that the board approves any secondary employment, which so far the board has approved all of them. All of our training courses that we completed in 2025, all of our use of force firearms training requirement under the CSPA, all of our use of force statistics, which also on page 45 highlights the Ontario Public Police Interactions Training Aid that all police services across the province are trained on. Reporting types of 2025 when the aerosol spray or OC spray was used, firearm displayed, pointed, or discharged, and the only time a firearm was discharged was to dispatch an animal. Any empty hand techniques that were used. So all of those reports are submitted and approved by our staff sergeant in charge of training. Property, we also highlight and report on all of our property, cash, weapons, and what's logged and what is put to the board. Controlled Drugs and Substance Act, we also report and highlight on that, as well as all the firearms that we have seized, whether they were turned in or whether they were seized illegally. Our vehicle fleet as well, we highlight what is in our cars, what is capable for traffic enforcement, fleet maintenance, road safety. We had our sergeant highlight all the road safety and the traffic complaints, highway traffic offenses, the RIDE annual report. Impaired driving related charges have gone up 340% from last year, which is a lot. And that, as the deputy has always highlighted in his operational reports, that when you have more boots on the ground and more officers doing proactive patrol, you're going to find the drug impaireds, the driving impaireds, and liquor license offenses. Our service statistics calls for service. On page 57, it's all of our clearance rate comparisons that come from Stats Canada, the crimes of violence, property crimes, other criminal code offenses, and drugs. So you'll see a 70% clearance rate of our crimes of violence, property crimes, which is your mischiefs, your damage to property, other criminal code offenses, driving offenses, animal complaints that are criminal, that kind of thing, for example. We had 266 of those calls. We had a 78% clearance rate, and drugs, 100% clearance rate on the drugs. Our arrests and charge comparison for federal and criminal, and then our crime incident comparison. I think I've mentioned this before, but for example, if you have as you see, our assaults are down, which is good to see, down to 93. So we have a 13% decrease in our assaults. Robbery, we have a 15% increase change. You have 9 robberies compared to 6. So even if you had 1 homicide in 2025, that would be 100% change. That's based on your small municipality and their numbers. Our criminal harassment charges have gone up 32%, and that is because our officers and their IPV training and having that IPV really focused on, with having victim advocates in-house, with having our staff who deals with our high-risk offenders, who deals with all the reports on high risk and is involved in high-risk committees, the sex assault committee, and reviewing criminal harassment is one of those cases that we really want to focus on and making sure that the charges are laid and that they're appropriate charges. It's certainly a start of domestic violence. We know that. We know criminal harassment is a very important piece in a domestic violence case, and that has gone up for the recognition and the training of our officers. Theft-related calls are pretty well the same. Frauds are the same. Bail violations, probations, they've gone down a bit. There was, like I said, the impaireds have gone up 340%. Domestics, unfortunately, have gone up 25%. And as I've said time and time again, it takes a village to really report these intimate partner violence, and we know that there's more reporting, which is nice to see, including anonymous reportings that from neighbors, for example, that gets the police there and gets them investigating. I'm happy to see the assault police officers went down this year. And then the assist calls for comparison. So we do compare our calls and seeing whether we're helping other police services or the OPP. So in 2025, we did 227 calls for service for the OPP and 38 calls for other police services. Motor vehicle collisions, we have comparators there from 2024. Our collision comparators have gone up. All of our business plan reporting is done on the next page, and then all of our collision reporting, so Q4 for our accidents, are all on there, as well as our number of calls for service, arrests, traffic stops, and then I think, there's one thing I had was a section. So our section 14 and 19 requests for assistance, we have to report on those as well. So far we're just completing the template for the Section 14 agreement with the OPP. That'll be done shortly. In 2025, we requested the assistance from the OPP with urgent requests, 2 incidences requesting canine support and 2 urgent requests from Child Exploitation Unit regarding some digital support. We had 1 request we gave to the Brockville Police Service to assist us in a warrant entry. And then Section 14 assisted that we did for other police services we assisted Kingston on 2 occasions with their FOCO and HOCO events. We assisted Gananoque Police with their Friday the 13th event. We assisted the OPP 220 times. Of those, 85 were calls for service to attend outside of our jurisdiction where OPP were not available. 135 of those were traffic-related complaints of vehicles on the highway that they thought were coming towards the falls, and 4 calls were formal requests for a breathalyzer technician. And then the deputy did an operational year in review at the very end to kind of highlight our programs and all of our calls for service. And that is the quick review of our annual report. But like I said, the completed project will be posted before the June 30th deadline and be accessible to everyone.
Well done, Chief.
Sure.
Yeah, well done to all the staff to
Sorry.
help get these.
Just what, questions for?
Yes.
Go ahead and finish and then I'll ask a question.
No, I'm just thanking my staff for helping too, get this all together. It's a great project. I always love doing the annual report, just to highlight everything that we've done, but also, to really take a good look at our UCR stats and seeing just all the calls and what the officers are actually dealing with. So.
Thanks. I think it is a great reflection of the year and a lot of work by all the team. Question relates to go back to the crime incidents comparison and domestic disturbance and mental health act charges represent probably about 40%
Yep.
of the overall charges. And I mean, that's significant. And I assume there's a lot of correlation between those two as well. And I guess it begs the question, what can not necessarily the service do, because the service is responding, but what should society or other agencies or government organizations do that could help reduce the volume of these types of calls and charges?
I think the community partners, but like Leonard County Renewable House, having that victim advocate support for us has been very valuable to have that person kind of embedded once a week coming, but that's all from grant funding. It'd be nice to have more stability in the funding piece for them, for other community partners, ones that police don't have to apply for every year to support our community partners. I think it'd be helpful if they had it. What I see that they're doing is educating more within the schools, hockey teams, different places like that to kind of get the messaging out young. And just, because what happened in Brockville is just absolutely tragic. And I should have mentioned that at the very beginning. I did that at our red dress ceremony, but our heart just goes out to the family and to our officers and our friends that work for Brockville Police and all the first responders. To have to deal with a call like that is so traumatic. But, there's a 17-year-old and the question is like, what happened and that kind of thing people will ask, and people always do when a tragedy occurs. So is continue, like, you being a mayor is the voice, being strong at government level and funding. But it also has to start from home too. Like, they have to have that education piece and respecting each other, moms, dads, and the kids, catching it early, that if there's some early prevention that we could do. I know RNJ Youth Services are a great support for intimate partner violence too. And Rachel's worked a lot with us from our Proceeds of Crime grant and Community Safety and Policing grant. Those kind of grants help support her as well for the youth, because we're seeing a lot of serious cases coming from our youth. And what we see might be different from what the public sees. We see that there's no parental supervision, there's no accountability. The schools are seeing it, the rate of violence and how kids are treating teachers. We're seeing it. And it starts at home. It starts at home to be accountable for some of the behavior of the kids. And if there are programs that can help these families, then take advantage of it, because there is. So
It's virtually a daily activity.
it's just,
Sadly, right?
yeah,
It's a daily
it's,
charge. And I did share a similar message actually to the Premier when he was here on Friday. So,
yeah, that's
just
good.
reinforces today, I
Yeah.
guess, my thoughts on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know with the Solicitor General, I do the same too, to make sure that funding becomes permanent, hopefully. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Andrew? Sorry, just a few questions in relation to the section 14 and 19 agreements that we have placed, or requests for assistance. So our total calls for service last year were 7,745. So do those include the calls for service under the OPP jurisdiction? So,
Yeah,
okay.
police assist, yeah.
And those police assist, would they be different? So if you have 200 and however
20.
many calls you have here,
Yeah.
would they be different? Would they be the same types of calls for service that you would have here, or are they already being, have they already had some sort of, like the police dispatch would have already gone through the call to make sure that you're actually required?
Right, yeah. So for example, there could be a domestic in progress outside of our jurisdiction that they request us to assist, to go to the call, for example.
So those 220 calls, would those calls take longer than, let's say, the 7,700 calls in Smiths Falls? So if you're going to a call in outside the jurisdiction, are those calls taking longer because somebody's already determined that you have to go right away?
Yeah, we'll stay there until they get there. So it depends on how long it takes for OPP to arrive, for example.
But the level, sorry, I think I'm just wording it poorly. So those number of calls, so if you've got 220 calls, so are they on average taking more than those calls that you would have in Smiths Falls? So if a police officer's dispatched to, let's say, Adirondack, would that take significantly longer than them going to a call in Chamber Street?
Oh, no, it wouldn't. If it's Adirondack area, we're pretty close to that area.
Okay.
Yeah, response you're talking about?
No, in terms of staying on scene.
Well, like I said, I guess I'm not understanding what you're asking, because we stay on scene until they arrive. So they could be coming from Carlton Place.
Okay, so I'm just
There.
wondering about allocation for service, like servicing. If we're spending more on time on each call
Yep.
that we're attending OPP jurisdiction,
Right.
is that adversely affecting?
Oh,
our
it does,
servicing?
absolutely. Like if you're sending 2 officers to a domestic in progress, then that takes away time for Smith Falls. If it's a priority call, which we're going to assist because it's domestic in progress or someone's being assaulted, then yeah, you're waiting for them. That's going to take the time from Smith Falls.
So of those calls, at 220 calls, would there be a disproportionately higher amount of those higher classification calls then?
No, I think it's, no. There might be the odd domestic calls or fight in progress, but no, it's not higher proportionately, no.
Any other questions for the chief on the annual report?
Yeah, in those same situations, if our officers are, let's say, first responders, and that there's charges eventually laid by the OPP, do our officers have to follow through and be witnesses through the whole?
Yep, they have to make notes and they have to submit their notes to.
Does it take more time?
They do take more
afterwards, too?
time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So our call for service is down from 143 to 7745, about 5%. I saw somewhere, so we had 7,745 calls. I saw somewhere 1,100, some of them were 911 calls. What are roughly the other 6,000? My cat's in the tree, or just
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just calls, like a lot of
Traffic
people
or-
will come in person. A lot of people will just call over our non-emergency line. So
Oh,
those
okay.
are urgent calls. And then I think the deputy's highlighted before, and he has in his overall review, but even though the calls are down, they're more complex because now under the new act, there's a lot of reporting, major cases. You have to make sure that everything is added into a major case file, and then it's overseen by a staff sergeant or a sergeant. All your sex assaults, all our intimate partner violence are reviewed by more than one person to make sure that the standards are met, make sure that everything is met under the new act. So there is more regulations, and rightfully so. But yeah, we've seen there might be a decrease in calls, but we've seen an increase in the workload for sure.
perfect. Thank you,
Yeah.
Chief Epi. A little shout out to the Smith Falls Police Service during Premier Ford's visit. We had some security details there. Looked professional. It was outstanding. The service deserves a pat on the back for that. It was very, very professional.
Yeah, we, I was really impressed too, because they had mentioned that they don't always rely on local police for security, but we took it very serious when we knew the premier was coming to town, because there could be protests. So we had a lot of planning beforehand to get things organized and ready for security. Made sure the two of us were with him at all times, like inside, and then we had outside perimeter and check to work with the security team. The deputy had looked after that, so it was well done. Like, all we care about is everybody is safe when they come into Smith Falls and when they leave. So, and certainly it was nice to meet a politician that is very supportive of frontline first responders all around, paramedics, fire, police, and he is appreciative of the frontline response. So it was nice. Yeah.
Thank you, Chief Epi. Operational report. Are you doing that, Deputy Kettle?
Oh, I think.
Oh, hold on, sorry. We'll back up. Sorry, my mistake. I skipped over board policies update, and it says
Oh, it's already.
Yeah.
Did you guys do that?
Deputy Chair Panko. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so the working group, Andrew Howard and our board secretary, myself, worked hard to review, it was 109 individual policies, variety and covering policing functions, counterterrorism, a whole bunch of general policies. Did some edits and refinement. That all these policies were shared with the balance of the board last week, for give everyone an opportunity to review them all. So I guess the consideration today is, has the board had adequate time to review the policies? Are we in a position today to discuss the policies further, or is there any discussion that's needed? Or is there a desire to go ahead and approve the policies today, or would the board like more time to review them and bring this back next month? Most of the policies indicate the chief shall have a policy for the variety of policing functions, obviously, and counterterrorism and general policies and public safety, the whole works. And the board, the chief had provided the working group with with her policies as well. So that the working group had an opportunity to review those policies to ensure that the chief has these policies in place, policies and procedures in place. So it's really opening the discussion up today as to where we are with this. This is a requirement of the new CSPA Act from 2024. We had hired a consultant to provide us with draft policies. So it took some time to get to this point. And based on the fact there's 109 of them, it speaks to how extensive and complete this collection is. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'll turn it back to you for what consideration we'd like to get to do today.
Any other comments? Would we like to further discuss this today? Would we like to wait till our June 16th motion for, the June 16th PSB meeting to pass it? What would everybody like?
I think with the extent of this document and the changes with being a working document, we're better to give it to June to approve, just so it makes sure we've all gone through it thoroughly and
100%.
comprehensively, so we don't make a rush. Because it's new to us in the CSPA. So my suggestion would be to take further time to review it completely and approve it in the next meeting in June.
Duly noted. Do we need a motion on that? No, I don't think so.
No, another comment. Chief, there's just one area that I wanted to ask about. There's no board policy speaking to the services interactions, I guess, with outside agencies. And I don't know what that would be, something would be done through an MOU. So as an example, Family Children's Services, Leonard County Mental Health, Leonard County Social Services, all those organizations that may call upon police, let's say if they're visiting a home and they need help, is that covered through MOUs or?
No, like it's in our policies. It's in the chief's policies to work with our community partners. Like the community safety and wellbeing plan, that's one of the policies to be a part of, like for a member of the police service and the board to be part of that plan. So that allows you that opportunity to work with your partners. We don't have like MOUs per se, but we have agreements, the situation table, all that is mentioned in our own policies, and that's what we utilize. So we have like within the situation table, like we've signed on MOUs with them. We have with the school board protocols, we've signed MOUs with them. So it's all encompassing in our regular operational policies to have those in place, which we do. So
Okay,
yep.
because I know when I checked other boards, that was absent in their policies too. So I guess it's not an optional matter.
But
Okay.
we have it internally and with our partners as well. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments on our policies? We'll wait till next month to review it and approve it.
Yeah, and just to, if I may, Mr. Chair.
You may.
Yeah, so a lot of these relate to how the police operate. And so the fact this is not something that is out for public discussion and input when it comes to the design and development of the policies. They're pretty consistent with other board policies from across the province, but it's not something we would put it out for public feedback. Once the board policies are approved, there's an opportunity if the public wants to review them and have any comment, they can get back to the board and provide that commentary.
But we will not provide the chief's procedures or
No,
anything
that's
like that.
obviously confidential, yes.
Service policies across the province are governed and legislated according to the act. So we follow the guidelines and requirements for the policies.
Obviously for officer safety.
Oh, absolutely.
No question about it.
That too.
Operational report. Normally, Deputy Chief Kettle gives us a riveting report, but he's going to delegate that to Staff Sergeant King at this present time. So I hope it will be equally riveting.
I'll try and much better again hold up the legacy. My 11-year-old daughter tore my last performance.
Oh, she critiqued it?
She critiqued it quite a bit that evening. So I will do my best to improve. I'm to stand straight and project my voice.
Tough crowd.
Yeah, oh yes, it was. Yes.
You better get on a stage.
Yeah. So month of April, 560 occurrences. That was down from 607 in March. So, overall charges and arrests, April 2026, 73 criminal charges laid in April as a result of 33 arrests. Breach-related charges, failed to comply undertaking, so that's released by police officers. We didn't have any breaches of those. Release order, that's released in the courts. And probation, that's a probation after conviction, that the person's placed on conditions for a certain amount of time. So 8 breaches of release order, 19 of the probation. Breach recognizance, there was 0. Total breach charges, 27. Total criminal charges were 73, so that relates to 37% of our total charges. Then on to IPV cases. We had 31. That's fairly consistent with the monthly average we've seen month to month. Assaults, pretty close to the same. We're down from 4. Family disputes, 10, up from 6. Bail violations, 8. That was the same as in March. Break and enters, again, consistent, 4. Mischiefs, 8. And harassment cases, 8. Next one. Again, mental health calls seem to be a bulk of our calls for service. 31 calls, up from 26 in March. 5 apprehensions, 1 of those involuntary, 4 voluntary. No data on the hospital wait times. And our MCERT nurses attended at 3 calls. Proactive policing, with the nicer weather, these numbers will obviously increase. Foot patrol hours, 5 hours. School visits, 56 hours. Community service, 37 hours. And bike patrol, 6. Again, the foot and the bike patrol will definitely increase with the nicer weather. More community events taking place outside for the coming months. Traffic enforcement, 13 total collisions. The breakdowns there as a result, 6 HTA charges. Vehicle stops, we had 122. 42 of those resulted in 73 charges. And those are in relation to speeding, stop signs, traffic, light infractions, failing to yield, drive under suspension, careless driving, and a number of other offenses, with 6 charges also under the Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act. We're moving on to alcohol and drug related charges. This is, again, an increase that we see month to month and year to year now that we have a more proactive approach to impaired driving. This is a direct result of us having more time, the ability to go out and look for these impaired drivers. We are catching a small number of them. We know that, but we won't wish to increase that. 9 criminal charges related to proactive traffic stop. Operation impaired exceed 80. Those 2 charges sort of go together. Most of the time somebody's getting arrested for impaired operation. They're brought back to the station where they perform a breath test, which results in the secondary charge of exceeding 80 milligrams. We have failed to comply with the breath demand, having care and control with liquor, flight from police, and a couple of those also included some breaches of their probation. So people that weren't supposed to be either behind the wheel or consuming alcohol. Step Pro initiative for April, seatbelt and child restraint infractions. 7 charges were issued. The impaired driving charges continue to be proactive. 16 breath tests. in 2026, resulting in 15 persons being arrested and charged accordingly. I can say the difference there would be I was involved in one of those cases where the person registered under the legal limit, so resulting in the negative charge there. STEP program for May is going to be aggressive driving, and our top traffic enforcements for March. It's supposed to be April, but Constable Gurman, Constable Ben Keoghan, and Constable Sly. All very young, enthusiastic officers who enjoy being out proactively searching for and helping people. So, the CIB branch, again, ongoing missing persons files. They also took the lead at the local school lockdown last month. 3-day criminal trial for a serious sexual assault, which has been ongoing for some time, which resulted in a conviction, I believe. Conviction for charges relating to an ODSP case, where the accused defrauded public funds of over $200,000. And that, I believe we just did a press release the other day regarding that case, which is something that's been ongoing for some time, obviously. This person has been defrauding public funds, and as a result of the investigation, was charged. CIB still, yearly use of force, all the detectives participated in that. A couple historical IPV-related consultations with the Crown, people coming to us, relaying some historical events that took place, and us investigating those and having Crown consult, which is a normal thing we do from time to time. And the constant gathering of drug-related trafficking activities. Our CIB works hard on having a handle on what's going on in the town as far as the drug subculture. Community service officer Sean Keoghan, and often assisted now by Special Constable Ferrier in a lot of these duties. Numerous school visits, practice lockdowns, risk assessment meetings. We also did a code response with the Smiths Falls Hospital, situation table, Special Olympics golf tournament meeting, Crime Stoppers, a couple media interviews with Lake 88 or MyFM, and one interview with Your TV. We also assisted in the Chimo Cakewalk fundraiser, and myself, Deputy Chief Kettle, and Constable Keoghan attended the Royal Canadian Air Cadets mess dinner in April, which was a great time. I spent the evening talking to cadets and reaching out to them, seeing, what exactly the cadets do and how it's inspired them. I've since had one of the cadets reach out to me about a career in policing, which is good. Sort of trying to inspire people to, look at our career paths and possibly take up policing. Some pictures from some of our events. The training scenario at the hospital. So we did a purple code and a silver code, which is hostage, which then turns into active shooter. This was more for the hospital staff's training. We do our own separate training in response to things like this, but having us respond and having them be able to go through it themselves and work out the kinks or any issues they see arising as far as communication, and them seeing and troubleshooting, I guess, on how things would unfold in a public building when you have a lot of people that are uncontrolled in certain areas. So that was very successful, and a good debrief afterwards on the response from everybody. Courses and workshops. April was an extremely busy month for us for courses. We had two of our newer officers on CIT, or Criminal Investigators Training. Special Constable Ferrier is currently finishing up the secondary portion of this firearms identification. So that has to do when we receive firearms, properly identifying them, registering them with the RCMP, and throwing out all the information out there to see if they've been used in other places. She's sort of taken on the role of one of our main property officers, which has been able to put other boots on the ground. Detective Lindsay LeMay, investigating offenses against children course. It's a 2-week course which took place in York Regional. Again, that's a very specific course, just as the title says, and not every officer is comfortable interviewing children and the offenses against children. So it is a niche thing where you want to have somebody comfortable, because you'll get the best results from the investigation that way. Jason Drewski and Brett Lacey organized a crime conference in York. 2 new coach officers, Constable Derek Dewey and Constable Clay Blanchard, took the coaching police professionals. So any new recruits coming in from the college, they're paired up with a coach officer for 40 shifts or possibly a little bit longer. And just basically showing them the ropes on the day-to-day activities, how to do things. The college is great. They give you all the information. The real training happens when they're back here in the car, getting to know the town, dealing with the people. Brad Walker and Brock Woods, both sergeants, completed frontline supervisor course. And Sergeant Pellet attended the Forensic Investigators Association conference. That's a yearly conference where our IDEN officers will go and stay up to date on all the technology and case law and techniques that they may need at a crime scene. It's really good for networking as well for our officers. Criminal record stats, they're about the same across the board each month to month. We'd like to touch on the lockdown incident at SFDCI. On Tuesday, April 7th, 2026, information was received regarding a student having a firearm in the school and displaying it to other students. SFDCI immediately initiated a lockdown procedure, which they train to do and practice. All schools do. And this lasted for just over an hour. When we were contacted, we attended. We had 1 officer on scene, I believe, in under a minute. 2 more officers in under 2 minutes. And within 7 minutes, we had 13 officers on scene, and both 2 of the 3 youth in custody involved in this with the firearms seized. 2 imitation weapons located and seized. 3 youths ended up being arrested and charged with numerous weapons offenses. Chimo School was also placed in lockdown as a precaution, being part of the Upper Canada School Board and being roughly a block away. Staff and students at SFDCI should be commended for their response and calm demeanor throughout the incident. And it was an excellent collaboration and communication between school and police. As an instructor, we teach this yearly, immediate response. And I can say the officers followed their training perfectly and everything worked out well. It was perfect. We had some minor top-ups like in any operation, but nothing that was out of the realm to be expected. You're going into the unknown, and the students as well. I know there's some parents that were, and the community was extremely worried during that, but we had everything well under control in a very short period of time with 13 officers on scene. That quickly is, the kind of response Smiths Falls Police we want to provide. And yeah, you can see pictures of the two replica or imitation firearms. Yeah.
So were all 13 officers Smiths Falls officers?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes. So the chief, deputy, court officer, detectives, including our special constable, who's not armed, responded. So yes, everybody. If we needed extra resources, we would have called. But with us being able to get in there and take control of the situation in such a short period of time, that wasn't required. So yes, to explain, we had everything in under 7 minutes done, but the lockdown lasted for just over an hour. And the reason for that is our investigation. We wanted to ensure that we had all the information, we had everything. So that once we had 2 of those guns, we wanted to be sure that there wasn't more students at risk. So then we did our standard search of the building and release of lockdown, which the students know very well the procedures for. So,
Thank you.
Yeah. We're good? Yeah. And that's sort of the end of it.
Any other questions for Staff Sergeant King?
No, just a good
Your
job.
daughter would be very proud.
Oh, I hope so. I can work on the improvement.
Like, I would say 5 times better.
I'm going to need a gallon of water up here next time because my mouth is completely.
Much better than the deputy chief for sure. So.
Well, absolutely. Hands down.
Well done, gentlemen, ladies.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Forgot to make my notes.
Oh, Chief
Oh,
MP, would
sorry.
you like to add
I'm gonna
something?
make
For,
it short and sweet like I am. I'm announcing my retirement, my choice. I'm not getting kicked out by the board or any scandal. But I'm really happy that the board, in discussion, and we'll have more discussions after, to look at a good transition succession planning, not planning to go till the end of the year. And I think it's better for the service than me going at the end of the contract, which would have been July 2027. That's a really busy time for our police service. And certainly the board wants to have a discussion with the deputy chief as to his plans too. But that's my plan. And obviously I'll say more later before I leave, but that's all I'm going to say, and I'm not even going to look at Carrie.
Congratulations, Jody, on behalf of the board. You've, I believe it said in the annual report, 1994. So
Yeah.
I can't do the math very
Yeah.
quickly, but that's a lot.
Yeah, I had the big hair and short bangs and everything back then, so I've come a long way. Little Chicago, like from the time the small police officer that I was asked, the first thing I was asked if I could fight. I thought, fighting? It was a lot of bar fights back in those Smith Falls early 90 days, but
The
we
Russell.
always say the strongest muscle for us is our tongues, how we talk and how we talk to people and how we interact with people. And I'm really, I'm going to miss a lot of that interaction piece, but I always say that the strongest muscle for us is our tongue, how we talk to people.
The service is in a good place with you, Jody.
Yeah, and it will continue to be. Yeah, when I'm forgotten. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure we could say that about Deputy Chief Cattle, but that's okay.
It's a tough day. Quietly. No wonder I don't get up.
Yeah. All right,
I will
that's
eat
it for us.
Anything else?
Next meeting.
Next meeting is June the 16th at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we will be, I think maybe we could be prepared for a photo that day. Maybe we haven't had one in a long time. So where get your hair combed and all fancied up. So maybe even the deputy chief and staff sergeant could join us, even the board secretary. So it'd be kind of nice for a change. So Recommended motion that the Smith Falls Police Services Board adjourn its proceedings at 10:28 a.m., not p.m., Madam Secretary. It stands so adjourned until the next duly called committee meeting. Moved by Andrew Howard, seconded by Chris McGuire. All in favor? Passed. We are hereby adjourned.